CEAT is the other one. The stock is trading in the green. It was a decent set of earnings that the company reported. Revenues and volume growth saw an improvement, margin improvement as well. Stock is actually trading in the red, I beg your pardon, down about 1.5%. We have Arnab Banerjee, the MD and CEO at CEAT, who joins us now to talk about that. Arnab, thanks a lot for joining in. I wanted to start by asking you about the volume growth this time. Volume growth is just about 7%. And given that there is a lot of competitive intensity in this space, do you think it will be hard for you to get to double-digit volume growth in FY24 itself? And what does FY25 look like in terms of volume growth? What are you forecasting? Arnab, I think you're on mute.
I'm sorry about that. So quarter three growth was very robust at about 12.5%, led by international business at 25%. Replacement volume growth was also very healthy, and OE was a tad lower. So we are looking at a similar kind of volume growth in quarter four as well.
What was the OE volume growth? Arnab?
OE was a tad lower. Replacement was very good. Exports was the highest at about 25% in quarter three, YOY.
For FY25, as we look ahead, what should we expect in terms of volume growth overall?
FY25 is a bit far away. We are in the planning process right now. But given the OEM growth that we have witnessed in the last few years, if we translate it to replacement and our ambition in international, we would like to plan high single-digit to double-digit kind of volume growth for FY25.
And where do exports feature in that? Because I think in Q3, export volume growth was 10%. And you did mention, in your release that the export markets are improving in Asia as well as in Africa, although Europe is still impacted by recessionary trends. So this 10% growth in exports is something that you think can continue even in Q4 and in the first half of FY25?
Yeah, I would like to correct the figure here. The quarter three YY export volume growth was 25%. So we have grown robustly in export. Yes, there is headwind in Europe, especially for the agri-radials and other categories of PCR, passenger car tires. But overall, if you look at US, Latin America, and also, as you mentioned, Africa and Asia, overall growth is still robust. Order books are decent, so we would like to look at a very robust growth in future as well.
All right. There's been a big improvement in margins. You're sitting at 14% plus margins. But given that there's been a slight increase in raw material prices since the last quarter, do you think margins will peak out at these levels, or is there scope to improve further?
Actually, there's a slight drop Q on Q margin from 15 to 15.1. That has baked in the raw material increase because Q3 raw material vis-a-vis Q2 was about 2.5% higher. We don't expect quarter four to be very much different from quarter three. So the raw material pressure will not be there in quarter four. The sales are going to be higher. Typically, quarter four is better than quarter three. Quarter three is a lean quarter, typically. So yes, I think the margin should move in a narrow band, as we keep saying.
Sorry, Arnab, on the Europe point, which you briefly mentioned, other companies also that we've spoken with, and generally what you read is that that's the sector which is more important in terms of auto ancillaries, etc. Has some of that impact shown through in the quarter for which you've reported, or is there any impact at all, first of all? And will it show through? I'm talking about this disruption, the Red Sea disruption, etc. Or that is not an issue?
Yeah, it has an impact because the freight rates have gone up. So to that extent, there could be an impact on imported landed cost of raw material. On the international business side, Europe will be impacted, but Europe is already in a sort of recession. So the damage will be limited in that case. We don't see a major disruption so far. The impact is the freight rate.
All right. Thanks a lot for stopping by and speaking to CNBC-TV18. Let's slip into a quick break. On the other side, we'll get our focus on the commodity markets. Manisha Gupta will join in for a roundup of all the action there. Stay tuned.